Good evening and welcome to the July meeting of the Committee of Adjustment. Before we begin, I will call the meeting to order. May I have a mover and a seconder?
So moved. So moved.
Thank you. The next item is the territorial acknowledgement to be read by Wayne Roth.
We have gathered in Wilmot Township on the traditional territory of the Neutral, the Anishinaabe, and the Haudenosaunee and the Mississauga peoples. We also want to acknowledge the importance of the Dish with the One Spoon Covenant, a peace agreement made between Indigenous nations before the Europeans arrived. It characterizes our collective responsibility to each other and to Mother Earth. We should only take what we need, leave enough for others, and keep the dish clean. By acknowledging this covenant and the First Nations, the Métis, and the Inuit peoples, we are reminded of our important connection to this land where we live, learn, work together as a community.
Thank you, Wayne. I would like to introduce our committee, Wayne Roth and Steve Miller on Zoom. With us this evening is Cameron Miller, planner for the Township, and I am Christine Kaler, chair of tonight's meeting. We are an independent body appointed by Wilmot Township Council. We have the power to make minor changes to existing zoning regulations and to approve some changes to existing non-conforming uses and to give consent. Each applicant will be notified in writing of the decision within 10 days. With the decision will be instructions on how it can be appealed. Any decision made by this committee can be appealed to the Ontario Land Tribunal, who will then hold a meeting and make a final decision. Only the applicant and certain prescribed public agencies can appeal the committee's decision. If the decision on a minor variance is not appealed, it becomes final and binding after 20 days from the date of the meeting. If the decision on a consent is not appealed, it becomes final and binding after 20 days from the date the decision is mailed. The format for the meeting will be as follows. Mr. Miller will introduce the application. The applicant will then be invited to come forward and add any additional information they choose. Following this, anyone in the audience will have the opportunity to speak for or against this application. The committee members may then question the applicant and the committee will make a decision. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? Seeing none at this time, the first order of business is to approve the minutes of our last meeting. Could I have a mover?
So moved.
And a seconder? Thank you very much. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Mr. Miller, could you please introduce the first application?
Yes, thank you very much. The first application this evening is minor variance A16/25 concerning 1427 Gingrich Road in Baden. And so this application proposes to reduce the front yard setback from 7.5 meters to approximately 2.3 meters. So the subject property is currently developed with a warehouse and a coffee shop, otherwise known as Baden Coffee, which probably a lot of people are familiar with. The applicant is seeking to basically gain permanent approval to what is currently a temporary structure that was constructed to the front of the main building, essentially a roof with no walls. And in applying for a building permit, it was determined that it was too close. So this application essentially seeks to give permanent status to that building, allowing them to apply for a building permit and recognize the structure. The area in front of the building is currently used for seating for patrons of Baden Coffee. And again, it doesn't impact parking on site because it simply is a roof over an existing seating area. In circulating the application, staff did not receive any concerns and are recommending that the application be approved tonight.
Thank you. I do not believe the applicant is here this evening, and there doesn't look to be anybody else that would like to comment on this application at this time. We don't have anybody else online. Do the committee members have any questions for this regarding this application? Could I have a motion from the committee on this application?
So moved.
Could I? Thank you. So moved by Wayne Roth, seconded by Steve Miller. All in favor? Thank you. Motion is carried. Mr. Miller, could you please introduce the second application?
Yes, thank you very much. Moving on to consent application of the evening, BO1/25, concerning a property on Murner Place in New Hamburg. And so this application proposes to sever approximately 1 acre of land forming part of 42 Murner Place as a lot addition to 46 Murner Place. Subject property is roughly a 10-acre woodlot, comprising, again, mainly of bush and some open space area that fronts onto the Nith River and abuts the rear property lines of several properties on Murner Place and E.B. Crescent in New Hamburg. The land's in common ownership with 42 Murner Place, and this application is simply seeking again to sever a small portion of that as a lot addition to 42 Murner Place. The lands in question are entirely regulated by the Grand River Conservation Authority. Prior to filing the application, they were consulted and did not have any issues, as this is a lot addition rather than the creation of a new lot within a flood hazard. And again, they were circulated as part of this application, the final sketch, and did not have any concerns. In circulating the application, staff did also not receive any concerns from the public and are recommending approval of the consent tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Zaire, would you have anything else to say to the committee? If you wish.
I'll take an opportunity to speak since we're all here. Yeah, the application, as you described it, Mr. Miller, fairly speaks for itself. My neighbor, who has 10 acres behind his home, has proposed to sever 1 acre of the 10 and add it to the rear of my home, and I'm appearing simply to answer any questions should anyone have any. Thank you.
There's nobody else that is going to comment with us? Okay. Do the committee members have any questions for the applicant? Mr. Roth.
Madam Chair, with your indulgence, I do have a question to Mr. Zaire, not directly related to this application, but it has some ramifications. It seems almost in another lifetime where I was sitting on this committee, we dealt with severance and on this particular property. As I recall, and if you can clarify for me, Mr. Zaire, was it that we added a complete lot to your property, or was it just a partial lot that was added at that time?
That would be approximately 1994.
Yes.
At the back by the river of that subdivision, which was known at that time as Whispering Woods.
Yes.
I made an application to take what was my property of 46 Murner Place and take the lot next to it and cut it in half, thus adding 50% of its frontage to my lot, and 50% of it went to what is now known as 42 Murner Place. You're correct. Your memory is accurate that did go through at that time.
So my memory hasn't deteriorated that badly.
That's right.
That's good.
So my neighbor at 42
yes.
and me, we turned 3 lots into 2 at that time.
Yeah. Supplementary, of course, I think you know this, but I'm on the river all the time. But I usually don't get all the way around the major bend there past the Greville property.
Right.
I know further up on Murner where the bank really gets steep, where this severance is, would that give you sort of a reasonable access to the river?
The natural topography at the back of my property, at the northwest end of it, there's that hill. Okay. Which up on that hill was what was known, that cement bunker that was in the side of the hill known as the Fox Hut way back.
Yeah, yeah. And
up there it becomes a very steep bank to my neighbor to the opposite side.
Right.
On the floodplain area that would encompass the river frontage that I would gain, you could say it could be considered reasonable access to the river. It's still pretty high, You know, it'd say be about as high as the woodwork on the, on the council chambers here. I know that back when we first built our home and we had young children, we were able to go down that riverbank and have a skating rink just like everybody else down off Scott Park and out behind where you lived. So it was possible, but it's not all that convenient.
But it wouldn't be quite as smooth as the Graville property when
Not quite.
Graville had his area down to the river.
Right. It is somewhat steeper than that, yes.
A little bit.
A little higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as you and I both know, the river is a tremendous asset to this community. It's absolutely beautiful up in that area. I think a lot of people in town don't realize that, and which is kind of sad in a way. I've been fortunate enough to give a lot of people from Morningside. My partner often says, I tell her that we're going to take the old people for a ride on the pontoon boat.
Sure.
And she says, have you looked in the mirror lately? Oh, anyway, it's amazing how people who have never been on the river are absolutely amazed at the grandeur and the peace and the quiet and the wonderful scenery that you have up in that particular area.
It's absolutely lovely.
It is, it is. And
Yeah.
I would be more than happy to offer to you sometime a cruise on the Nith on a pontoon boat, unless you've had a cruise with the Gravilles. I'm not sure.
It sounds like a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah, so, but it is a wonderful experience. It really is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, that I digress, but I think it's important that people in town actually realize the beauty and the asset that we have.
Yeah. And you may recall I grew up at 63 Stone Street,
Yes.
which my mom and dad owned, and it, again, was on the river,
Yes.
more or less halfway to downtown.
Yeah.
And I grew up there on the river, and when that subdivision was established that it was back on the river again, I was really, really surprised at that time and embraced the opportunity to build a home there. And now I'm embracing the opportunity to have some river frontage and extend my backyard too. So,
Congratulations, and I'd be happy to move this recommendation.
thank you.
Thank you. Could I have a seconder, please?
I think I saw his hand.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
There it is. All in favor? Motion is carried. So our next item is, do we have any items for our August meeting?
Yes, we're anticipated to have an August meeting. Tentatively, we'd be looking at August the 6th, so I'd ask the three of you if that works for you availability-wise. Okay,
Yep,
I'm
that's
seeing some
fine.
nods,
I
great.
think so.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved by Wayne, seconded by Steve. All in favor? Thank you very much.